All right, we're officially live for another Wise Talk. Excited to have the group back, -1, but we're going to make the best of it. Ms. Trader Steph wanted to take the day off and enjoy some sunshine, and myself as well. So, gentlemen, how are we doing this afternoon?
It's another day in paradise.
Paradise it is. So,
living the dream.
Living the dream. So, gentlemen, from this past week, anything that jumps out right away you guys want to lead the way with as far as going back and forth and putting it out there and seeing what's talking about it, basically?
Well,
George,
really,
what do you got? Because George has to leave. Let him go first.
George Gammon.
Well, I had a conversation the other day with Jim Bianco, and I uploaded the interview, and he did a very interesting study. And what he did is he measured if the United States economy came back by, call it 90%, what that would actually look like. Because a lot of people say, let's open up the economy. It can get back to 80, 75, 80%. That would be great. And we can just really start this upward trajectory again. But he did all the calculations, and just the depths of the recession in 2008 got us down to about 96% output. So if we got to 90% output, we'd still be twice as bad, or more than twice as bad, as it was at the depths of the recession, in 2008. Going back to the Great Depression, at the worst part of the Depression, call it 1932, the economic output was about 74%. So even if we got back to 75%, call it, or 80%, that still puts us in the Great Depression.
Wow. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, that's a good one, Ben.
I want to share with you guys something that I just came across a moment ago, that first time you're hearing it from a major news source such as Time magazines, but it says, welcome to the first global economic depression of our lifetimes. And so, so George, you're talking about the depression, it was worldwide, but it was primarily centered around the shift of our monetary system, which led us to where we're at now. So now with this global economic depression, the study that you're referring to from Mr. Bianco, was that more so, that was the U.S., correct?
Yeah, he was looking at the United States, and then he used that as kind of a starting point to talk about negative interest rates. And then he compared the negative interest rates where they've been tried, and how they've just led to disaster in the banking system. And it really is kind of a head scratcher as to why, if it's been tried in Europe, if it's been tried in Japan, and it's just blatantly obvious that it does not work. So why are central bankers still throwing it out there as though that's the next step? You could go down the conspiracy rabbit hole. Like Richard Werner is an economist that I really have a lot of respect for, and his view is that the central banks are intentionally trying to take interest rates low because they know it'll destroy the retail banking sector, and they want to consolidate the banking of the developed economies.
Yeah. Let me chime in here. Why does everybody call an agenda a conspiracy theory? It's they have an agenda. It's obvious. If what they're doing does not make sense economically, these are not stupid people. These people aren't riding the short bus licking the fucking window.
Yeah.
They have an agenda. And your friend, whoever you actually just brought up, he's right. That doesn't make it a conspiracy theory. JFK being shot by more than one person. The one person with one bullet cannot do what happened in that car. That doesn't make it a conspiracy theory. That makes it there was more than one mother plucker there.
Yeah, that was an agenda to that. It took some
an agenda.
It took a concerted effort to put all that together.
Yeah, the argument would be the only other rational argument I could come up with is that the Fed is so fixated on their models And they have this tunnel vision where it just does not matter what's going on in the world around them. If their model says to do XYZ, they have to do XYZ. And if they have this Keynesian model that says if you're struggling with deflation or what they perceive to be as deflation, then we just have to take interest rates lower. And if interest rates are already at 0, then they've got to go to -1. If we're still struggling with it, then they got to go to -2. They got to go to -10. They got to go to a -90%. They got to just keep going negative. And even if you tell them, hey, listen, you're destroying the economy, this isn't working, they're like the monkeys with the, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This is what my model says. This is what my model says.
Right. That just proves that their model was structured to fail. Keynesian economics isn't structured to resolve itself. There is no, 1 + 1 = 2 in Keynesian economics. It's, if this don't work, we just print more money and we create more debt. It's a system that is actually based on the existence of negative rates.
So watch this. I would imagine they knew that this was going to be the end result. I'd imagine prior, when they met in Jekyll Island and said, let's find a way to nationalize and to take over the entire monetary world, because whoever controls everything. They probably envisioned how it would end, and they have an agenda, a plan structured. So they know that. So what question is, what's next?
It's and after I say this, I'll have a hot cup of shut the pluck up. Like, Keynesian economics is actually based on an ever-growing authority ladder in currency. You begin with a lot of currencies. Then as they collapse, you roll up to a higher authority, a smaller group of a union in the currency. Then once that one fails, you roll it up into a European Union. Currencies, when they fail, you either get a larger group of participants or you separate and you launch your own currencies. There's only 2 ways to do it. So when the Keynesian economics idea was formed, it was formed to eventually lead to a one world currency. That's how the structure's made. It isn't a conspiracy to understand that 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. It's that you can see 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. That's a system. That's mathematics. It isn't a conspiracy that mathematics works. As soon as you realize that Keynesian economics is an agenda, then you understand it's not a conspiracy. It's like, well, there's a conspiracy that I'm going to go out and put my key in the car and it's going to start. No, it's a system that is built that when you put a key in it, you turn it, it starts.
Yeah. If you go back to Bretton Woods too, Keynes was, I haven't studied it lately, but Keynes was arguing for something to that effect. He was looking at from a standpoint of Triffin's paradox, I believe. But I think he was one of the people that was arguing for a global currency back in Bretton Woods.
My turn.
Go ahead, Mr. Myers.
This has been fun. To the term conspiracy or conspiracy theory. Well, I believe people use the term conspiracy theory because, well, as soon as you say that, conversation's over.
Yeah, right.
It's a theory. It's wrong. It's craziness. Let's get back to something important like sports scores or who's doing who in Hollywood. So Conspiracies are when two or more people get together to plot something, to do something. Now, speaking of sports scores, you've got a quarterback, you got a line, you got a running back, and you got some wideouts. It is a conspiracy of theirs to score. And they're not telling the other team what they're going to do. But it is a conspiracy. It is a joint effort to accomplish an end result. Good, bad, or indifferent. If it's your team and it's the Super Bowl and they score, it's a great conspiracy.
What a great example. That is a perfect example.
So when people start backing up and snapping at the term conspiracy theory, my pushback is, well, wait a minute. We need to talk about this before we figure out if it's a real conspiracy or we think it might be. Doesn't mean that it's bad. Then we get to, and I'm disliking this word more and more, economics. I don't like the word. Keynesian economic theory. It's not Keynesian economic facts.
Yeah.
Right.
It's theory.
How about experiment?
Wait a minute.
Keynesian economic experiment. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then you have von Mises, or the Austrian School of Economic Theory. You have monetary economic theory. Is there an operative word here? Yes. Theory. It's a guess. We think, we maybe. And their theories are so bad, sticking with Keynesian, that the only way to save the model, and economics has been morphed into this thing where they use massive mathematical formulas, and they're, it's theoretical mathematics. And when it doesn't work, they come up with another theoretical mathematical model.
Yeah, like the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. You know that when you put your hand, God forbid, over a hot flame, you're going to get burned. Now, most people only have to do this one time. They don't do it. I mean, it may happen again accidentally, but it will never happen again on purpose. Well, with the economics people, what do? They screw up and they go back at it again.
Yeah, they say you just didn't leave your hand on long enough.
Probably.
Or turn to the other side.
Well, the other side isn't cooked. And what happens is they pull the default solution, or one of them. Well, we're going to lower the interest rates. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, just stop for a minute, go back in time in your life and think, okay, interest rates used to be 5, 8, 10%, even higher. You go in to get your first savings account, and you're going to get 4 or 5%. And okay, makes sense. Now, the powers that be want you to believe that saving money has no time value. That's negative interest rates. I loan Ben, or I invest with Ben $1,000, the Bank of Ben, in a savings account. And at the end of the year, I close out the account. I don't get 1,000 plus interest. I get $980 because it's negative interest rate. In no way, shape, or form does this ever conclude to normal. This is absolutely ridiculous. Sorry, Ben, I don't like your bank. I don't like negative interest. I want 1,000 plus. So anyway, the upshot is that if the solution that is being brought is that interest rates have to go negative and then more negative and then more negative, the whole program is wrong.
See, that's what I'm saying. Keynesian economics is flawed on purpose because Keynesian economics ignores, or tries to until it collapses, ignores the mathematical rules of nature. Austrian economics is just a fancy way of saying the economics of nature. Austrian economics mimics nature. That's why it's right, because it's value added. When you have a seed, that seed absorbs energy from the surrounding environment. That seed grows, it adds value. And that's what Austrian economics is based on. In that example, the energy would be the capital.
Yeah,
it's anybody who is a Keynesian economics person is an idiot. It isn't. They have an agenda. The agenda is roll the global economy into one controlling model. Mm-hmm. That's why that headline, because with every roll up that the Keynesian economic systems has given us was after a war. They have to do it that way because they have to shut down the economy to restructure it. This is just a different way of doing it.
That's what happens when we're now. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they can't change the engine while it's going down the highway.
You mean you can't change the oil while it's running?
Right. This is so obvious. I guarantee that what I just said is exactly what everyone here thinks.
Now watch
Somebody's doing this on purpose.
Now, negative interest rates we're being primed with that lingo now, and then Jerome Powell referenced that the economy takes another little dip. I'm assuming it's mentioning or assuming that he's referring to a second wave, a massive wave of the war that we're currently in from an invisible enemy standpoint. So, with the people being so strapped for cash and everyone saving, can the velocity, which is still all times low, still provide them a little cushion to go negative? Because people will still continue to save until what?
Yeah, the problem there, Mike, is it doesn't necessarily expand M2. And this, Alan talks about this all the time, that the commercial banks are really in charge of the monetary system. It's not necessarily the Fed. And so you got to think about a bank's balance sheet, right? So going back to negative interest rates, if the liability side of their balance sheet, just to oversimplify things, are the deposits. So if a bank has to, let's say, pay a negative 1% interest rate, well, then they have on the other side of their balance sheet where they would typically make, let's go back to a normal type of scenario. Generally, they'd pay 1% to the depositors, and they'd lend the money out. They don't really do that anymore, but let's just assume that they do. They would lend the money out at 2%. They pocket the spread, right? So now you've got a scenario where they're actually they have to take money from depositors and they have to pay money to lenders. So what does that do to the incentive structure? Basically, why would any bank make a loan? That no bank is going to lend at all, because if they lend, they're losing money. They're having to pay people to borrow money with negative interest rates. So you completely flip the balance sheet to where the asset side is losing you money and the liability side is making you money, right? So what you're doing is you're trying to incentivize lending by taking interest rates negative, while at the same time you're completely crushing all forms of lending, especially for people that are worried about deflation. I mean, if you look at debt being paid off as deflationary, meaning it's reducing the money supply, I don't think there's anything that you could do to decrease the money supply faster than negative interest rates, because it completely ruins the incentive structure to lend in the first place.
Now, what about when it comes to the housing market? So somebody asked me this past week, Mike, what's the chance of me getting a negative mortgage and being able to get paid to buy a house now? I'm like, I don't think the system will. I don't think the system will last that long for that to be sustainable.
Well, the only way that they could do that is if the deposit side, they're charging people more. So let's just say on the deposit side, they charged you, Mike, 2% a year to park your money there, and then they paid someone 1% to take out the loan. Well, okay, I guess then they could pay people for a mortgage, but it gets just utterly bizarre. And then going back to the repo market, this is something I've been studying just this weekend to do a video Monday, where just think about that. If you've got negative interest rates in the repo market, so the repo market is based on someone needing liquidity. They need cash overnight, so they're willing to pay someone, and give them collateral, let's say a treasury, and then they pay someone for the use of the money, whether it's a day or 20 days, 30 days, whatever. Well, why would an entity lend out money in the repo market, provide liquidity, if they have to pay to provide liquidity? There's no way. And then you ask yourself, well, what happens if the repo market freezes up? Well, we know what happens there, because look at September 17th. The whole entire system comes crashing down. So this is something that I don't know. It's very bizarre. I didn't even mention it.
It's odd that we're even talking about this, because we all know it's bullshit. It's like we're arguing over why a 400-pound white guy can't run a 4 second.
Yeah, exactly.
Why
can't pigs fly? Yeah.
Right. Why can't pigs fly? Well, because they ain't made to fucking fly.
Yeah. It's literally that basic.
This makes no sense. We are literally looking at a man with no legs and asking him, hey, walk your ass over here.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is that.
It makes no sense.
Well,
especially when they've tried it in Japan and Europe, and it's just disaster. It's not leading to any growth. It's not leading to anything that they're trying to do. And the only thing they're trying to retail banks. Yeah.
Well, it would be BS, total Bravo Sierra.
Oh my goodness!
Except for the fact, and this is what even makes it more disturbing. If we were sitting down to write the fiction of all fiction of monetary system economics, we would be writing what we see in the news and in our lives today.
I don't even know if you could have thought of that, Alan.
What?
I don't even know if we could have thought of that.
Well, I'm just assuming for the moment that we collectively could get this.
Keynes didn't even think of negative interest rates.
Yeah, but let's say we could get this wacky, because we're just having a blast, and we're getting
a lot of drugs.
Whatever. It could be aspirin. I don't know. But we're just getting total whacked out, and we're laughing our heads off, and we're thinking, oh, this is so stupid, it's beyond belief. Yeah, let's write this down.
Right. Exactly.
Then you go outside if you can, and you look around and you find out
it's worse.
Thank you. Which means this has gotten in the beginning, and this has been a long time coming. I use the phrase incremental encroachment. A little bit at a time, nobody notices. A little bit at a time, nobody notices. Then you bring this collective effort. We've got the contagion. We have more and more government overreach at federal and state level. We have rights being attacked. You can't be open for business. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't go for a walk in a park with your child. It goes on and on. We would never, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there's no way. Never dream. Oh, come on. Alan, what are you smoking? Yeah, it's probably legal in California, but what are you smoking? This is crazy. Now we're looking at reality. And when you control the monetary system, God, I wish I had it in front of me. There's a quote from Henry Kissinger. Maybe, Michael, you can find it. Something about when you control the oil, you can, and I'm paraphrasing, when you control the oil, you control the countries. When you control the food, you control the people. And what I say is when you control the banking systems of the world, you control the oil and the food.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're seeing. Unfortunately, go ahead.
This is why I'm in cryptos, because a long time ago I realized that this system was made to fail. There is no other, there's no other end to it. And so I knew they'd reach a point where there'd be nationalists and there'd be globalists. And we're at that point. Trump is trying to roll the Federal Reserve into the Treasury. This is all actually going towards crypto because, number one, as soon as they invented the internet, and
wasn't that Al Gore?
Huh? Yeah, Al Gore invented the internet. Yeah.
And then he invented climate change. Got it.
Yeah. Right. It's as soon as the internet was invented, the idea and the capability of creating a global currency was already there. It's transacting on a global ledger is not new. We've actually been able to do it since we had telephones and telegraph. It's just at a really slow bit rate. You'd send do, and the guy would write it down. Well, that's a shared ledger. That's the equivalent of what the hell Bitcoin is. It's if you have a lot of people listening to that boop, 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 then you have a decentralized ledger. It's just now we have a really quick decentralized ledger. And the important part is who controls the ledger. In a globalist world, it's one entity. It's the United Nations. It's the World Bank. In Trump's world, it's the Treasury. In our world, it's us. It's all about decentralization or centralization. It's clear as day where this is going, not because I have a crystal ball.
You don't?
Just because, huh?
You don't?
No, it's because I know how humans work. Humans communicate on whatever level the technology we create provides us. That's it. And the only question is, like I said, control. That's it. Is it a centralized ledger or is it a decentralized ledger? And once you wrap your head around that, then you understand that once we can connect with each other, eventually that reaches a point of a higher percentage of people valuing other people's freedoms. And let me explain that. All right. Once social media was created. Eventually, social media will go through the same revolution, which I think we're at the beginnings of now, that America went through. Because it's once you have a collective, that collective will create its own level of common sense or commonality. We will agree that some things are fundamental. Eventually, the internet will have a Bill of Rights, but it's not going to be created by a government. It's going to be applied by the members of the community. Culture is not dictated. Culture is agreed upon through creative destruction. And the internet is the world's largest creative destructive system. It's just a network. That's all it is. And if people put aside an agenda and they just live in the environment of the global social media, they'll adjust themselves eventually to the norms of the environment if they're left to in a free market of cultural creative destruction ideas. Somebody will hear an idea on the internet and go, you know what, I agree with that. Then that person will apply that action to their communications in social media. That will eventually spread into a global culture. Well, that global culture always leads towards freedom. It ain't quick. Freedom's not going to go viral because there's a lot of players that don't want it to. But when people hear this show and they understand that I value people's freedom way over what I value any cryptocurrency or currency, because freedom is the only system where everybody's happy with their options, not their outcome.
Yeah. Now let me get to a super chat here for everybody here. And so this is from Crypto Angel, and it says, from 1 to 10, what is each one of your guys' panic number for fiat dollar economy? Panic number. So I'm assuming, fiat dollar, assuming just our concerns, talking about the negative interest rates and where the fiat dollar is going. So panic, I'm not sure how, panic wise, every good thing comes to an end, including the fiat version of what we call a dollar. So I'm not really panicked myself. So I would probably say it's low. So I'm not, I anticipate the day where a piece of paper no longer, does what it currently does as far as being able to be spent and saved.
I would say 0. I'm not really panicked at all because panic just means lack of preparation.
Yeah. So it could mean you're sitting and depending upon this instrument itself as we've known it, probably a little bit too much or too many of those things. And so that you're not, so here's a question. If your entire life is based upon everything that you've been told or taught up until this point that has to do with this, I can imagine a person being in panic mode. Because if you're a high net worth individual looking to get out of and get into other things, and you see the price of gold and silver starting to make some moves, cryptocurrency now is starting to become a primary instrument, I can see someone panicking in that regards.
I'd say personally, 0. The general public, probably 6 or 7.
Mr. Myers, what do you think?
I'm trying to understand the question. Sorry.
Yeah, so apart from just trying to paraphrase and try to give a little definition to it, so I'm assuming you put up against this from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
What is each one of your guys' panic number for fiat dollar economy? Dollar economy.
First of all, I'd have to understand, and we of course appreciate the questions. what do you mean by fiat dollar economy? The other is, for me, I worry more about, well, first of all, fiat to me means, and I may not be correct, fiat to me means by order, by command, as in the government says this is money, so it's money. Well, that's different than when people decide. So we could have the same basic banking system we have now, electronic digits and accounts, paper currency, paper money, whatever, and it would not be fiat because the people made the decision. My biggest concern right now in what I see in the economy overall is businesses have been shut down for 2 months, basically, round numbers. Most of these businesses, especially the smaller ones, they don't have a big storehouse of wealth to support them through this time. You've got people who are not working. There was one woman in the state of Washington. She went out, got a PPP loan. She was so happy. She owns 2 spas. And she was thrilled because she was going to be able to pay her employees. Guess what? Her employees were pissed off. Why? Because they would be getting more money on unemployment than for, getting something from their employer. I'm worried about the attitude change of, oh, I'm going to get my handout. I'm going to get my $1,200. Then you got this new whack job idea that, oh, everybody's going to get $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, this can only come from more unpayable debt. Then you've got, I know this is Ben's favorite political person in DC, AOC. She's put out a Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act of 2020, which means you don't have to pay anything on this until 3 months after the emergency has been declared over. You don't have to pay anything back. And if you, the landlord or the lender, want to get a little something for not getting paid, you got to dive into one of 2 government programs. You look at what you have to do as let's say the property owner, the landlord, to get the funding to get funds because your renters didn't pay. You have number one, you can't raise the rent for 5 years.
Really?
Yeah. There's you want to sell your property? Oh, okay. But first you have to offer it up to some entity out of HUD, and they have 60 days to see if they can find a buyer. You have empty space you want to rent? You have to offer it up to people who are Section 8 housing first. You want to be part of this program? You're going to have to give 10% of your equity to your tenants. And it goes on.
Wow.
So let's say you have a place and you went through this because you're trying to keep it, and you're getting older and it's time you want to sell, but you want to sell to your children because they want to own the property. Okay. But you can't. You have to offer it up to the government first. And if the government wants to take it, they take it. Okay. This is how crazy this is all getting. I worry not so much about fiat currency. I worry about the overall economy, which we've talked about. I worry about this mass migration of power to federal and state governments. If you want to see it really on the line, watch what the governor of Michigan is doing. and watch what the governor of the state of Washington is doing. Now, apparently he has backtracked, but he came out with the thing, oh, restaurants, you want to open? Well, you can only open to half capacity, and you have to take down everybody's name and number for potential contact. Excuse me? You're telling me for me to get a pizza, I have to give you my name, number, or contact information? But this is this power grab that is just, and it's not, and they're not embarrassed, and they're not slowing down.
It shows
this is what I worry about.
Agenda.
Yeah,
this is not an accident. It's not.
Is it a conspiracy?
It is. It's a conspiracy theory.
It ain't no theory.
We've lived in, and this is why people love my show, because I call it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're living in a world that has a lot of stupid people. And the problem is that too many people no longer call stupid people, because we worry to hurt their feelings, or we worry if we get called whatever friggin' name they call us. You know, if you're a stupid person, you need to be told that you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So that so you're at least aware, shit, I'm stupid. And because if we don't, then stupid people talk to other people and make them stupid too.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't make them stupid. They encourage them to be.
Right. And that's what the progressive agenda does. They encourage through currency and giveaways and welfare and all this. They encourage people to be stupid, lazy, and not produce in our economy. And these people who are stupid, they think they can get a check and that dollar is going to be able to buy something. No one's ever told them, hey, stupid, if you don't produce anything, there isn't anything to buy. If humans aren't producing anything but dollars, the only thing you're going to buy is dollars. All right. And Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan's show the other day, and I'm sure he caught hell for this.
Who caught hell? Which one?
Because he basically said what I just said. He said, people are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And they're living in a fantasy world. And the problem is that the progressive, feel-good snowflake movement has even strong people worried about offending somebody. Well, if you tell somebody they're stupid, that's not offensive.
Mm-hmm.
That's letting them know that you're going to fuck up pretty bad here. And it's going to cause you problems. Like, I can remember telling my kid, son, I love you, but you're a fucking idiot.
You said that with a warm smile, right?
You did it out of love, too.
Yeah, because he understood, anybody who played football, did your coach ever walk up and go, man, would you do me a favor? Would you try to run a little bit faster next time. No. You did good. You ran your little fat ass as fast as you wanted to. No, they always said, get your ass out there and fucking hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make strong people by talking weak to them. You make strong people by talking strength to them. And that's our problem. We've got too many grown men hanging on the tits of their moms still.
Well, they're not men. They're adult males, but they're not men.
Yeah, never really grew up. So watch this. I want to share. I got a question. Then I also want to share this with you guys. Talk about warp speed, Operation Warp Speed, and the push that Trump has to get something done this year. And then on top of that, question is, vaccine will be ready by the end of the year. Will you guys take it?
Well, my answer would be, yeah, I'll take it, and I'll shove it where the sun don't shine on somebody. No. Think about this. We have a flu. Ever since I can remember, there's been the flu season.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really track, God forbid, the people who die, but people do die one way or another. And apparently, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, death is a...
Corona, actually,
okay.
Me and my wife are going shopping for a carpet cleaner.
Good seeing you, man.
You're gonna leave me with Michael, okay?
All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you next weekend.
Be good.
Be safe and well. Look at that! I pissed him off. He ran away. Anyway, where was I? What was the question? I got
President Trump warp speed, looking to make sure by the end of this year there's an option.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Will it be an option or will it be a mandatory thing? And so I watched a little press release yesterday, and he said that some people might want to take it, some people might want to take it, but there were no guidelines as to what the process would be like other than the military delivering it.
Okay, I mean that right there is frightening. But going back, there's been flu vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep having the flu every year.
Yeah.
And there's vaccines. And people keep dying, and there's vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
How is this vaccine that is being cranked up at warp speed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Good medicine doesn't happen at warp speed. That's bad, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the level of testing is not going to be normal.
Right.
We're going to take the best guess possible, and then we're going to stuff this into you. And we're going to tell you it's for your own good. Well, my analogy is this. I go to the store, I pick up my favorite box of cereal, and if I want, I can turn it over and I can read all the ingredients. Okay, great. Before you command me to have something injected into my body, show me the list of ingredients.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you what I want to do. I want you to give me a couple samples. And I want to take those samples to independent labs, and I want them to tell me what's in the sample and see if it matches your ingredients. Then I want you to explain to me why there's nanoparticles of aluminum in here. What body function do I have that requires aluminum? I don't have any. No, I'm not going to take it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
And then you get to the things with, everybody has to wear a mask or a face covering. Guys, virus particles are measured in nanometers, which is 1,000th of the size of a micron, which is 1,000th of the size of a millimeter. Okay, well, even the N95 masks don't filter down to 200 nanometers. So when you're wearing your bandana, you think you're stopping anything? No, you're not stopping anything. There was an older person who was driving around in his car, of course, windows up, God forbid, and he had a mask on and he passed out and crashed his car. Well, when you sit there with a mask on that doesn't really allow much flow, you wind up breathing your own CO2. There's a reason why humans exhale CO2 to get it out of our body, not keep inhaling it and recycling it. And then you got the people who wear the mask right underneath their nose. I'm thinking,
what is that
really?
for?
Really? What, exactly. What? You don't want to show off your bad teeth? We are getting programmed into responding to, and this is where I push back, orders, not laws, orders. Well, if we were in the military and a superior and a higher ranking officer told us what to do, we'd do it because we know we're in the military and we take orders. I'm not in the military. I'm a civilian. I'm a citizen owner.
Yeah.
Elected employees don't tell me what to do. And the more that this happens, to me, the more what I'm really worried about is the more frightening response that that is going to be needed. This is when it's going to be stand up. It's going to be wake up, stand up, get involved, stay involved. Because to me, several years ago, if you and I were sitting down talking about a big what if, and you and I were spinning these stories, you go, oh God, Alan, what are you doing? There's no way this will ever, ever happen. Right? Well, it is happening now. It's real. It's every day. And you have a tremendous amount of people or sheeple who buy into this because they don't want to question. It's too much effort to question because they might have to do something. And the people in power will, of course, always take care of us. When has that ever happened?
Right. Never ends up well for our well-being. That's for sure.
So that's what I'm really worried. I'm really worried about where this is going, and that whether it's vaccines, this sequestering, this staying in your home. You as somebody has pointed out quite clearly, you quarantine the sick. You don't quarantine the healthy. But we're all being quarantined. The other is, if you fly into France or you fly into Hawaii, you have to quarantine for 14 days before you can go out and about.
That's a long time.
So why are we still at it after 8 weeks?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Did you see, I saw just a post of a video, or not a video, but an article about how it looks like, I'm going to put this on the screen so you can see it. And so it looks like the TSA could start airport temperature screening as early as next week, despite concerns the agency doesn't have the authority to conduct them. So TSA came about as a result of what happened 20 years ago, never went away. Now TSA will be scanning your body, but also holding something up to your head to let you know if your temperature fits within their qualifications for you to continue to move forward. So that right there gives us a good idea as to the agenda that was already in play. So the
thing is that, okay, Alan, come on. You're just going to put a little thing in front of your forehead and zap your forehead and then let you go. What's the big deal? The big deal isn't that. The big deal is that they're doing it. So what's the next incremental step that is going to be taken? And if you're doing this without any legal authority, just because, and people bow their head, bend their knee, and just suck it up, then the next take will be even easier. And easier and easier, until one day you wake up and you find out you can't do anything without somebody's permission. The idea of, okay, you've tested positive for CV, therefore we get to track your every movement. No, you don't.
Right.
But that's what they want. What's not in the discussion right now, and I know at least I have friends who are active in it, and I'd recommend people checking it out. 5G. 5G is the next step up in mobile communication, internet, everything. Now, if you look out in the web or in the news, it's being sold as, oh, this is the next great investment opportunity. You want to invest in companies that are doing 5G devices. If you listen to the providers, they're going, oh yeah, we're going 5G. It's fast. It's going to be great. 5G is an absolute magnitude jump in power over 4G. It has not been fully tested and peer reviewed, but it does come from military grade weapons. Gee, what could go wrong? And the other is that because it's so high powered, it can't transmit very far. Now, whether you call them receptors, antennas, cantennas, they're going to be put every 500 to 1,000 feet. Excuse me.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot that have gone up in the city of Detroit, right off the freeway. Everywhere I look now, I'm noticing them. I would have noticed them before, but while we've been locked down for the last 60 days or whatever, where
they're putting them up.
They've been putting them things up at an alarming rate.
Right. Now, do you think a device that's going to be put up every 500 to 1,000 feet will not have presently or in the future video sound capability? Of course it will. You're looking at the 24/7 surveillance society that exists in China today. Not in the future, today. Where was one of the biggest rollouts of 5G in China?
Well, I heard the area where this all is supposed to start at in Wuhan.
Exactly. China has been working on its social credit score for a long time. If you do the right thing, say the right thing, don't do the wrong thing, don't say the wrong thing, then you have a high social credit score. You start speaking out, your social credit score goes down. If it goes down far enough, you can't get a plane ticket. You can't get a train ticket. You may get fired. This is 24/7 surveillance because we want to make sure everybody is a good citizen, and we'll tell you what a good citizen is. This, to me, is what is extremely frightening because the grab for power knows no point of satiation, knows no limit, and it doesn't care who it hurts.
No.
This is in a way, I mean, our founders, of course, did not fight against tyrannical internet use.
Right.
They fought against tyrannical military. It's coming. Yeah. I really don't like it, but I see it coming every day. And to the point, you control oil, you control countries, you control food, you control people, you control monetary systems, you control oil and food. We have to take back our monetary system. And if our monetary system says the next step is negative interest, it is broken beyond repair and it's broken by design.
Yes, Mr. Alan Myers. With that being the case, let's dial back with that one, man. So the biggest question from that point on will be, how do you do it? It will take a collective effort by the masses. Millions of people would need to be awakened to the reality of what's happening, and then after that, make their voices heard that we don't want that, we want this, and give us the right to choose. Now, that option never comes with a smile and will never be received by those in DC with a smile like, oh, they want to now choose what's best for themselves, and they don't know. So I can imagine there's going to be some issues with having those type of choices, if at all.
You bring up what I like to call to action. At the and if you don't mind, I'm going to plug a program that is mine now after this.
Yes, sir.
But the point is, what we do is really important. This conversation. But what I'm starting to do on my new program is at the end, I bring at least one specific call to action.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to learn. It's great to listen. It's great to care.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to do something.
Yeah.
Okay. If you took it to the sports analogy, well, yeah, you like to be on a team and you like to exercise and you like to practice. Do you like to win? Okay. Well, now you got to take the field.
Yeah.
Now you got to get on the court. For me, the call to action is very personal. Yes, we need millions, but are you going to make the decision personally to do something?
Mm-hmm.
Once you make that decision, once that person makes that decision and they act on it, okay, you're in. And yeah, you hopefully will help other people see why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it will be, no, I'm not taking that vaccine. 2 is, why is the military being used in a civilian activity?
Mm-hmm.
This is frightening. The military is to be looking out, not to be looking in.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and you bring up DC, I'm a citizen owner. Michael, you're a citizen owner.
Mm-hmm.
People in DC, they're elected employees. When the employees tell the owners what to do, we got a problem. It's time that the owners tell the employees, do this or don't do this, and if you don't comply, you're going to get fired. And after we fire you, you will not be welcome back. Go live in another city, go live in another state. We don't want you back. This is the time for the owners to stand up and tell the employees, and nobody said it better, no mas, no mas, no more, no more. We're done with this. So part of it is, and that's, I was invited to take a 2-hour program on Patriots Soapbox.
Mm-hmm.
It's a YouTube live stream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Sundays, West Coast time, 5 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I was honored to be given the time. I didn't go looking for it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you'll be invited. And this week, tomorrow, my guest is Jorge.
Mm-hmm.
Jorge is what I call an ABC, American by choice.
Okay.
You want to know the value of being an American? You talk to the person who chose to be one.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his family came out of Cuba. Thank you, Castro, for the desire to move.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be a great show. And I have another one lined up. He's actually out of communist Hungary.
Mm-hmm. What's the give us what's the website or what's the domain?
Yeah, well, if you look up Patriots
Mm-hmm.
Soapbox,
Okay.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll send you some information, Michael, when we get off, and then you can put it out there. But it's the name of the program is For the Republic.
Okay.
I chose that name because that's what I'm about. I'm about For the Republic. We're not a democracy. And when people tell me that they're all, they want a democracy,
mm-hmm.
my new response is, which one? There's at least 8 different types of democracy. Which one are you about? They have no idea what to say. America is a republic. If you have somebody in politics talking about the American democracy,
mm-hmm.
fire them.
All right.
They're wrong.
I found something on Twitter about Patriots for Soapbox. That's
right.
The first thing that came up.
Okay. I'll have to send it to you. Again, I don't go looking for my stuff, but I'll send you the link.
Okay.
And then you can put it up. But yes, for anybody, please listen.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about on my program, I'm going to be doing repeating sections or segments, ABC, which is American by choice. Talk about, I got another segment I call Wackadoodle News.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's in the news that 2 years ago you wouldn't believe would be in the news, and now it's standard.
Yeah.
Whether it's HR 6666, the thing that AOC put out about the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act of 2020, it just goes on.
Yeah.
And now this warp speed vaccination, vaccine creation and then implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we're going to buy 500 million syringes. Well, the syringe maker is thrilled.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is that they already passed the $2.2 trillion stimulus package.
Mm-hmm.
They're now talking about another $3 trillion. People, keep in mind, these funds are not coming from a piggy bank under Uncle Sam's bed. This is coming from only one source and one source only, and that is more unpayable debt. We're now at over 25 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends estimates by the end of the year, if this keeps going, we're going to be at 30 trillion. And last thing, to put some context to 1 trillion, because trillion is, as a number, is a 1 followed by 12 zeros, but we don't operate in that. Most of us don't even operate in the billions.
Yeah.
Well, I know you do, Michael, but I don't. Just to give you an context of 1 trillion, 1 trillion seconds. If you could live 1 trillion seconds, you'd live 31,709 years. That's 1 trillion. It is astronomical.
Trillion. Hey, man, Alan Myers, as always, it's good to have you join us, and everybody that tuned out throughout the show. Everybody has something to do, and so Saturday, so far, the weather's good on my end. I'm about to go try to enjoy it. So, Mr. Myers, be blessed, be safe. Let's connect again next week, and definitely looking forward to find out more about the talk show. And other than that, everybody, be blessed, be safe, and we'll connect again soon. Enjoy your day.
You be safe and well, too, and thank you for having me on. I look forward to it always. Take care.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye.